Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 5, Invasion, Succession, Concentration, Centralization and Segregation. And our topic is Invasion and Succession. Both these processes are adopted from ecology to describe the neighborhood change and growth of the city, whereby one social group succeeds in establishing itself by pushing out another in the valued urban space. These terms are associated with the Chicago School and particularly Burgess zonal model. According to this model, the growing demand for land of the immigrant population for housing and other activities forces them to move to outward areas. Invasion refers to the inflow of rural population towards the city center for various purposes, employments, education, etc. It is more reflected among low economic status of the immigrant groups. They move into adjacent residential areas, having a negative impact on the quality of life of the current occupant. Sometimes the highest status groups find it more comfortable and convenient to move out of the city and shift to the periphery of the city. The word invasion has a negative connotation, which reflects a negative sentiment of the resident population for the fresh migrants. Succession means a process that shows successive movement of people in outward zones as the need arises. This movement is neither abrupt nor uniform. It moves in successive phases called succession. It is also viewed as an attack on the ecological or natural habitat of outer zones. Succession is a complementary process to invasion, as it proceeds only after the invasion. These ecological processes of invasion and succession are frequently associated with an ethnic minority group's movement into an area and the following changes that are characteristic of many of the city's natural areas. A recent study of ethnic invasion and succession in Brooklyn reveals that the frame of analysis for the interpreting ecological data has to be expanded to incorporate worldwide social and economic upheavals as well as trends in economic restructuring at the national and regional level. Understanding of the local housing patterns depends on the understanding of the global inequalities of income and life chances. Hence, the global and holistic awareness certainly prescribes a cure for any tendencies towards narrow empiricism. It also raises deeper questions that how local pattern reflects global influences. Now let us move to the next point, concentration and centralization. Concentration is a process of urban society which is very obvious. It occurs due to the large rate of immigration of rural population towards the city. This rural urban or even urban migration leads to a higher concentration of population in the city with a variable demographic composition. A higher concentration of population further results in a higher social interactions, but is also characterized by superficial relationship or anonymity, pressure on available infrastructures, etc. The fast growing population density of cities is one significant indicator of the process of concentration. The tendency is towards localization of economic activity in and around a relatively small number of urban centers. This condition is also referred to as popularization or agglomeration, about which we learned in the first block. It arises from the spatial concentration of the market, sources of information, bases for control and decision making, interactivity, linkages, and other external economies. Concentration and centralization increases the disadvantages of the peripheral locations and contribute to the economic and social deprivation commonly found with greater distance from the core. Ethnic concentration exhibits another significant aspect of urban society. It is viewed both as a general process of residential differentiation among urban population and as an aggregate effect of socio-economic and cultural differences. A number of studies have shown that ethnic groups vary considerably in the degree of their residential concentration. Residential proximity to persons of the same ethnic origin provides one important means of preserving family, cultural values, and preferred modes of behavior. For instance, Chittaranjan Park in New Delhi has a concentration of Bengali population. The Muslim population in Old Delhi and Punjabi migrants in Lajpat Nagar in New Delhi are a few examples of ethnic concentration of population. Spatial concentration and decentralization are associated with the tendency of economic activity to be organized in unit of increasing size and within hierarchical organizational structure. A growing concentration of ownership of capitalist business activity was evident during the 19th century, decades before the contemporary emergence of the multinational or transnational corporation. The largest capitalist corporation of today may have productive capacity and sales outlets in many different nations, but ownership and control remains vested in the headquarters that are usually located within one of the major financial centers of Europe or North America. Concentration of capital in a non-spatial sense, that is, in the hands of fewer large owners, is an important feature of advanced capitalism and a source of concentration of political as well as economic power, which transcends that of nation states. The associated geographical concentration of certain kinds of economic activity facilitates the flow of capital between different uses and the pace of circulation and a turnover on which profit depends. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self-learning podcast.